Hello, everybody, and welcome to my brand new podcast called the Sports Oriented World Podcast, your home of your sports stories that has been talked about from an African perspective and spread it across the world through this podcast. I'm going to bring for you the news and break it down for you so that you get entertained and informed. Of course, it's going to be from different spheres of the world in different sports. Either it is from where I come from, that is Kenya, either it is East Africa where I'm representing, either it is Africa where my motherland is, and of course globally because you have to represent the world from where you come from. So that is what I'll be doing throughout this podcast journey, and thank you to everyone who has been waiting for me to start this journey. And I pray that as you join along the road with me, I promise you that the more I do this, the better I become, and the more popular this podcast will be for all to witness and testify. And that is what I'll be doing throughout this podcast. Either you see me on the video or you listen to me on the audio platforms or music platform. So thank you once again, and I don't take much of your time. So today I'm going to be spending at least 1 hour just to talk on two things which I'll break them down for you in 60 minutes, and it's going to be broken down into two 30-minute segments, and afterwards you can have your take as soon as I'm done with this video for you guys to debate with others. So today is basically all related to African football. As you've noticed, just the past weekend AFCON just concluded with Senegal winning their first ever title for the first time, and of course Faliou Cisse winning it for the first time as a coach after 20 years ago he lost it as a player. So what a testament for him, and for Sadio Mane being the best player of the tournament, good for him. And of course Edouard Mendy being the best goalkeeper of the tournament, that's a kudos to him after having a very spectacular 2021, and now with this that's just splendid. And just not long ago he won the best goalkeeper of the year according to FIFA. So congrats to him and his team. And of course the teams that finished third and fourth, third was given to the host Cameroon, and fourth was given to Burkina Faso after the penalty shootout in the third and fourth place playoff match. But I'm not going to talk about AFCON, I'm talking about club football in Africa. And the first one I'm going to be speaking on is the African Super League, which every African football fan is wondering what is this all about. What the meeting that happened few days ago, what was it being said, and I'm going to be breaking it down for you step by step on what has been talked about and see what concept they're trying to bring onto the plate as the meeting happened. So of course the African Super League, if you can all remember very well, it was a similar move to UEFA when they did the European Super League, which of course UEFA and all the member associations under it disagreed, apart from the very few European clubs that were part of it. If you can remember, they're supposed to have 15 20 clubs in that league, 15 of them being permanent, and only 12 of them were able to sign the contract and be a part of it, only for most of them to back off, apart from the three, which is Juventus, Barcelona and Real Madrid. So don't dwell much into that. So it's similar to what it was copied there in Europe, but only to bring it to Africa. Now the meeting that took place few days ago, they are discussing the concept of the African Super League. Now we remember very well the first time it was spoken about, it was leaked online by Barbara Gonzalez, the CEO of Simba, 2 years ago during a CAF meeting, and she leaked some bits and pieces of what the concept is, and she said that it's going to have 20 permanent African clubs, whereas the rest will vary team through the qualifiers be able to get into the slot. But that is just paraphrasing from what I got from the tweet which she used Twitter. And then 2 years later, of course, she was present at that meeting once again, and only this time it has been proposed allegedly that instead of 20 teams it's going to have 24 teams, and the 24 teams will be broken down into 3 regional divisions. Of course, out of the 3 regions, one of them is dominated by one part of Africa, and that is the north. And we all know very well Northern Africa is like you're seeing Europe, because they are just, close to the Mediterranean Sea, and once you cross over to Mediterranean Sea, that's basically Southern Europe. So that's how everyone is seeing it, because their climate is somehow similar to Southern Europe. And yeah, it's going to have 8 clubs. So out of the 8 clubs, 4 countries will have 2 teams each, and of course it's going to have Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria. I'm just filling it in because, according to Walid Ziani, the Algerian football journalist who leaked bits and pieces of the meeting yesterday, only to release it I think this morning. Yeah, he just show. If you go to his Twitter handle, you're going to see a picture of how the tournament is formatted from the start to the finish. But for this purpose of the podcast, I'm just filling in because if you look at the CAF 5-year rankings for the national associations, if it's from the northern region, and they said 8 clubs are going to be a part of that division, then out of the 8, 4 countries are being represented, and that means Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria are going to be a part of that division. But all you worry is that where is Libya? Because Libya is the odd one out according to the membership of the UNAF, which is the Union of North African Football. So I was expecting that at least give Libya one slot in that tournament, to at least have a club being represented in the northern regional division. But later on, I'll be giving you my own version if I was the one in charge of that concept of the African Super League. Some say the new tournament is a scam, or it's bias, it's part of politics and everything, just like the way for the European Super League. But I'm going to break down my own version of how the African Super League would look like if I was the one giving the proposal. So that's how it is. Northern regional division is going to have 8 clubs from 4 countries, which is Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria. I'm just filling it in because it's like an exam. Then on the other regional division, the second one is going to have 8 clubs from 8 countries. Now, if I was to fill in the blanks, you're going to have countries from the central slash western region. So of course this is a combination. It cannot be all the 8 clubs from one region and then the other one is being left out. So it's going to be a combination of countries from central region and another one from the western region. So of course, if I was to fill in the blanks in that picture, according to Walid Ziani's Twitter handle on his post, then you are going to see DR Congo in that conversation. You're going to see Guinea in that division. You're going to see Nigeria. You're going to see Cameroon. You're going to see Senegal. You're going to see Ivory Coast. You're going to see Congo, and lastly Mali, that are going to dominate that division from the central and the western region. So 8 clubs, one country each being represented in that regional division. Now, if you look at the third and final regional division, is the division that is from the southern and the East Africa region. Of course, the same way just as the previous division, 8 clubs from 8 countries, meaning 1 club each being represented. And if I was to fill in the blanks, then of course you're going to have South Africa, you're going to have Zambia, you're going to have Angola, you're going to have Sudan, you're going to have Tanzania, you're going to have Kenya, you're going to have Mozambique, and lastly Zimbabwe. So that's how it's going to look like from the regional division, and then you have their own clubs being represented. So basically the group stage of 24 teams in three divisions. And then if you look at what Ziani has explained in his Twitter post, if you look at it recently, according to him, he says that top 5 teams in all the 3 divisions, plus the highest ranked 6th place team out of the 3 divisions, will advance to the round of 16. So it's similar to the way the current format at AFCON is, or even the way UEFA Euro are doing it. But for this one, is in the form of 3 groups with 8 teams each, making 24. So That's how that format is going to be done in the group stages. Then another one being put as a proposal, it says that the bottom three teams in all the three divisions will play a relegation playoff against the three winners of the proposed CAF Zonal or Confederation Cup. So that tells you that the team that finished bottom or that finished last in Group A, which is the North, Group B, which is the Central slash West, and then Group C, which is the Southern slash East, that if you finish bottom, you're going to be playing a relegation playoff against the three winners of the proposed CAF Zonal slash Confederation Cup. So that tells you that also there's going to be a revamp in the CAF Confederation Cup. We don't know about the CAF Champions League, either it's going to be disbanded altogether or it's going to be an addition. But if I have to give my own opinion on how the reform should look like for the future of African football, I think they should add the African Super League and then keep the same format as the way it is for the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup. Then you do like a bit of promotion and relegation depending on their performance. Just as we've seen so far in the top three divisions of club football in Europe, in the UEFA Champions League, UEFA Europa League, and Europa Conference League, that if you finish at this spot, you're going to be relegated to this tournament. If you finish at this spot, you're going to be relegated to the other division of the tournament. So if they can get examples from Europe, then they can apply the same here in Africa, whereby instead of saying only African Super League should be the conversation and not the other two currently, I think it's better you have the African Super League, so long as they have like a relegation basis to the CAF Champions League, and also do the same for CAF Champions League to CAF Confederations Cup, so that you have that bit of competition, bit of promotion for some of these clubs that are lesser known in African club football. And I think it's going to help a lot, financial wise, and even as a brand of football for their respective club. It's going to develop them and making sure that when you work harder, you're going to reach at this level of African club football. So that's how it is. That's my take on it. And then another thing that was noted by Walid Ziani in his Twitter post allegedly is that the all 24 teams that are playing in the group stages will play home and away. So meaning, if you are a certain club, you're going to play seven games on like a first leg, and then the second leg you're going to play another 7. So that will sum up to 14. So if you do 14 games, wow, that's going to be like an NBA conference type of competition, because you're all trying to see who will finish with the most points, who will finish with the most wins, and so forth, or who will score the most goals out of the 8 in that division. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that concept will develop. And then last but not least, for the knockout stages, it's going to be like the way you're seeing in AFCON, where you're going to have the round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final. So according to what Zenia has posted, he says that the knockout stages will have a home and away format. So if you go to round of 16, home and away format. If you go to the quarterfinals, home and away format. If you go to the semi-finals, it's home and away format. If it's the final, it is home and away format. So if you do a total of that whole tournament season for a certain club, so you have 14 games in the group stages, then plus 2 in the round of 16. That's in the round of 16, yeah. So that's 14 plus 2 gives you 16. Then you go to quarterfinals, that's 2 more, that's 18. And then you go to the semi-finals, that which is 2 more, that will be 20. And then the final, which will have 2 legs, it will be 22. So 22 games in that whole season of the African Super League. Now, compared to the CAF Champions League, which if my memory serves me right, that is 13, because you have six games in the group stages, 2 in the quarterfinals, 2 in the semi-finals, and then 1 in the final. So it's 11. Sorry that I said 13. It's supposed to be 11. So 11 is the correct answer. So 11 games in the whole tournament of the CAF Champions League. So if you have 11 in the current format of the CAF Champions League, and then you have, you know, 22 in the African Super League. So that tells you that the African Super League has just doubled, you know, the fixture list for a certain club who wants to reach all the way to the final. So that will cause a bit of worry for some of the clubs that cannot afford to go to different parts of Africa, especially for those from sub-Saharan Africa, maybe from the south, or even from the island region like Madagascar and Comoros and so forth. So that will cause a bit of worry. Now, if you're an African football fan who loves to watch African football, then that will cause a bit of worry. And then, of course, the finances, the facilities when it comes to hosting games, that should cause also worries for some of the clubs. So those are the key issues. I don't know if CAF are able to look at it from that context and see how to create fairness, but you know, just give it time and let's see how they're going to you know, move forward along with it. But according to CAF, they said that they will continue talking about this same subject for the next 4 months, meeting twice more. So we see maybe by July this year, which is during the summer, they'll have a final proposal to put to CAF once again and see whether they can pass it, and hopefully they can play it either next year or next season, according to the calendar of CAF. But that's how the African Super League concept has come out of it. And if you have any, you know, comments or any suggestions or your views on what I've just broken down for you, then let me know in the comment section of whatever platform you're using, either on a video platform or on an audio platform, which I'll display it at the end of this video. So just continue this journey with me, and let's continue moving forward. And of course, just speaking of the African Super League, now if it's, you know, for the clubs, because it's not countries that are playing in this tournament, it's the clubs. So I'm going to fill it for you according to the picture that was posted by Walid Zani on Twitter. Now, he said 8 clubs will be in Northern Division, right? So if you are filling the blanks, you're going to see Wydad Casablanca, Raja Casablanca, both of them from Morocco, and then you're going to see Al Ahly and Zamalek, both from Egypt, and you're going to see Esperance and Tunis and Etoile du Sahel, both from Tunisia, and lastly JS Kabylie and MC Alger, both from Algeria. So those are your clubs who will be representing the Northern Region division. So that's just group A. And then if you look at Group B, which are clubs from Central/West Africa, if I was filling the blanks, then you have TP Mazembe of DR Congo, you have Horoya of Guinea, you have Enyimba of Nigeria, you have Cotton Sport of Cameroon, you have ASC Jaraf of Senegal, you have ASEC Mimosas of Ivory Coast, you have Kara Brazzaville of the Congo, and lastly Jolipa of Mali. So those will be your clubs representing the African Super League division of Central/West. Then if you look at Group C, which is the Southern/East African region, the clubs who are going to be represented there, if I was to fill in the blanks, you're going to have Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa, you're going to have Zesco United of Zambia, you're going to have Primeiro de Agosto of Angola, then you're going to have Al Hilal of Sudan, then you're going to have Simba of Tanzania, then you're going to have Gor Mahia of Kenya, you're going to have FC Platinum of Zimbabwe, and lastly Ferroviario Beira of Mozambique. So those will be your club representatives in the Southern/Eastern region division. So that's Group C. And I was just looking at, you know, the current season of the CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup. Now, out of the, you know, the 32 clubs that are represented in both tournaments, I found it, I don't know if it's coincidental or you know, a no-brainer, but as I can see here, what I was seeing here is that if that concept was to be realized right now, then out of the 32 clubs that are supposed to be playing in the African Super League, then you're going to have Al Ahly, Esperance de Tunis, Wydad Casablanca, Raja Casablanca, Zamalek, Mamelodi Sundowns, Horoya, Etoile du Sahel, Al Hilal, TP Mazembe, Simba, Cotton Sport, ASEC Mimosas, Zanaco, and AS Oto. So if you look at from the CAF Champions League, those clubs that should have been the African Super League, if it had happened, then that would be what? 9. Then if you look at on the other side, in the CAF Champions League, Confederations Cup rather, you're going to have 6 clubs in the African Super League. So if you add 9 plus 6, that gives you 15. 15 clubs will have already been in the African Super League, according to the format being explained by Walid Ziani. So that's more than 50%. More than 50%. Wow. Is there anything coincidental, anything like a no-brainer, anything surprising? Let me know in the comment section on wherever you're listening or watching me from. So yeah, that's basically what the African Super League is. Now, why are people saying that the African Super League is a no-go zone? Because one, yes, it's biased. That's number one factor, that it's biased because it's favoring the Northern African region. And we all know very well, the Northern Africa region is the most developed region in African football, either at club level or at national team level. If you do an average, you do an average of all the associations in that region and make it an average compared to the other regions, you will not be surprised that Northern Africa is on top, either at club level or at national team level. If you look at the rankings for the clubs, or if you look at the rankings at the association level for the clubs, you do your averages per region. And if you look at the national team, if you go to the FIFA World Rankings and you go to the CAF region, the CAF Confederation, and you do your own average similarly to done for the club, you will find out that Northern Africa is the best region in African football. So it's no surprise. And if you look at that concept that was being put by Walid Ziani, 8 out of 24 are from Northern Africa. So that's what, 33%. And then the rest of you get one slot depending on the association ranking. That will cause a bit of a conversation or of a worry if you are a person not from the Northern Africa. So yeah, it's caused a bit of conversation. That's understandable. So that's one, bias. And then number two, financial disparities. Why? Because if you look at, for example, the travel cost for a club from the sub-Saharan Africa, for them to travel to the north, it takes a lot of time, a lot of hours to travel. Either it's to go on transits from one place to another, either it is to go on one direct flight to the north. It takes a lot of hours and it's going to be exhausting, and maybe you're supposed to play the next day or the day after. It's going to be a bit tiresome. And also, if it's not only about the travel cost, you look at the budgets for the clubs that are being representing in the proposed tournament, they call the African Super League. You find there's a big difference. If you see, like, for example, Al Ahly's budget, if you compare Al Ahly's budget to, for example, FC Platinum, it's very different. And if they play against each other, you already know who's going to win in both legs in the group stages. So that's how it's a cause of a worry. But it all depends on how their clubs are being ranked, the club hierarchy. If there are people who are willing to make sure that the clubs that they're representing are the best, not only country-wise, not only regional-wise, but the whole continent, then I think it will cause a bit of homework for them to be able to maybe write them down and at times scratch your head. So those are just the financial side of you. And then maybe last but not least, the tournament is being run by FIFA. Some allegations, people say that it's being run by FIFA, unless it's true, and that it's privately funded. Why am I saying that? Because according to that concept, it's some news reports, they said that for you to join the African Super League, you must have an academy, you must have a women's team, and you must have a youth team to be able to be a part of the African Super League. So that, of course, if you look at it, is only going to favor the northern region of Africa, because they have all of that together, plus the budget, plus the the financial side of it. They have everything being included. So that will cause a bit of a hearsay or a bit of conversation going to and fro. So that will cause a bit of worry if you look at it. Yeah. So that's something what consider looking at. So just to maybe conclude on the African Super League concept, the fourth one is, where is Libya? Because if you look at the top 20 or top 24 associations, if you go to the CAF 5-year ranking, then Libya is the odd one out. And if you look at UNAF, the membership, it's only 5 nations being represented there. So that's cause a bit of worry if you look at me, or you are wondering why am I saying it, because just imagine Libya being given as an automatic slot, then that will at least have solved most of the issues for Northern Africa, and the rest of them, which of course are all from the sub-Saharan African region, then that will be something worth discussion. Maybe give Libya a slot, because Libya, the Libyan Football League is also one of the strongest in Africa. So that's something worth talking about. And then when I come back in the second half of this episode called African football reforms and preparations for the African club football tournaments, which is starting tomorrow, I'll be now telling you what the CAF Champions League, the CAF Nations Cup is all about this season, and the fixtures for the opening match day. So when I come back, I'll be breaking that down further and see where this conversation will take on. Thank you, and I hope you join me in the second half of this podcast.